Welcome to the Blokes podcast. I'm Adam.
And I'm Greg, and we sit down once a week to shoot the breeze. We chat about anything and everything. Sports, films, drinking, politics, music, etc.
So sit back, crack open a beer and enjoy. Here we are.
Okay.
Week 3.
Woo! All right.
This is going strong. We're 3-0.
We are doing...
3 wins, no losses. So far, we're doing well. Back in ye old Prince's Elbow.
Yeah.
Which is our virtual pub name that we decided last week.
Yep.
We put the gavel down on that.
Uh-huh.
Late last week.
Speaking of, have we...
No, we've ballsed it again. We don't have the gavel.
I think every other week, one of us will have the gavel, and then the next week, one of us will have the bell.
Just depending on whose house we're doing it at.
We'll never have both, and that's okay.
Oh dear. It's been a good week, though.
It has been, yeah. It's been nice. Always, I mean, a little peek behind the curtains. It may have been more than a week since we last recorded.
It may have been.
Feels like a little while longer than maybe not. I don't know.
That's fine. We're blokes. Listen, we get around to it.
Yeah.
Listen, if someone needs a job doing, we'll get around to it eventually.
What's the rush?
Exactly. What is the rush?
It's fine. You've had a good week though, yeah? What have you been up to?
I've been doing a bit of drinking. In fact, we had a little trip, didn't we? A little drinking trip.
We did.
To a pub. In fact, we had 2.
We have.
Why don't we talk pub reviews?
Okay.
Straight from the get-go.
Sure.
Because both of us have been to 2 pubs that we're sort of experiencing for the first time. And I feel like we need to review the situation. Because there are good pubs and there are bad pubs.
There are. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Extremes. There's black and white. It's good or it's bad.
Literally.
There's no okay ones.
As we're about to find out with these 2 pub reviews. So the first one we went to was in central London. Yeah. It's called Ye Old Cheshire Cheese in Fleet Street. This place is fantastic. This is the good example.
Truly.
It's super old. I think you know how like a t-shirt brand has like established in whatever. Well, this pub has established in I think 1667. Something I may have got that arse about it, but there's a really old thing, and it's basically the year after the Great Fire of London.
Sure.
So this place burnt down during the Great Fire of London, and people loved it so much they rebuilt it, and now that incarnation is the one that still stands today. Yeah. But it still looks like it was like pre-Fire of London because it was so bloody old. Yeah. Like there's no windows in this joint. No. It's all wonky wood. Samuel Pepys is still in there nursing a pint. Yeah.
The ceilings are all like 5 foot, so it's like even if you're short, it's too low.
It's still too low. Yeah. But we went in there, and despite central London being a ghost town at the moment. It was still relatively happening. I think it's famous enough to still have a bit of a draw. Yeah. And I think it's Samuel Smith's brewery? Yeah. I was nearly going to say Sam Adams there, but that's nowhere near London. No. That's Boston. So the Yorkshire version, Sam Smith's, I think they're the brewery that supplies the pub. So the beer was great. Wasn't as cheap as we expected. But it was still good. It had a sparkler on, and it was like sort of Northern Ale, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like,
it was.
Almost John Smithsy.
It was, yeah. I loved it, though. Had a great time. I'd never been before. You'd been a few times, I think. This is my first outing, right?
I'd only been there once, actually.
Okay. Right.
It just made such an impression on me because of how old and vintagey and proper pubby it was. Yeah. I thought you had to sample that.
100%. And I was like pleasantly surprised at how easy it was to get there, considering it's in the middle of London. For me, it was just one train straight there. I was like, loving life. Yeah.
Handiness, check.
Boom. So it's already off to a flying start. Low ceilings, easy to access. Apart from those,
Samuel Pepys having a beer with William Shakespeare.
Fireproof now.
Now it is.
I hope they learn from their mistakes.
Some substandard cladding, but aside from that, Edit that one out. Edit that one out.
No, we'll keep that one in. We'll see.
No offence intended. Just a nice pub. So we had a good night there. We were the last people in the pub. Clearly the musicians had nowhere else to go. We were the last people in the pub.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It wasn't the cheapest pub in the world, but it was comfortable, had a good vibe, good beers, easy to access, lots of character.
Pleasant bar staff.
Yeah, very pleasant.
Let's talk about the bar staff, because I feel like that's going to come in with the second review.
Yeah.
I feel so it was just one bloke, I think, manning the entire pub that I could see.
Yep.
And he would come round, he'd take your glasses, he'd pour you the pints, and he'd be slow. You'd wait, but it's fine. He was a chatty guy, and it was good.
Traditional.
It was traditional, exactly. Yeah.
I got chatting to him actually when he was pulling one of our rounds. This chap was from Colombia, but he was one of these guys that was clearly trying to fit in London, and he was he had I can't remember any off the top of my head, but a couple of little Cockney phrases or British phrases that he was trying to throw in, with this thick Colombian accent. But yeah, great fun.
Yeah, good man. Well done him.
So, swiftly moving on to the second pub. I think, was that even in the same week we went to these two pubs? It might have been the same week.
It was the end of one, beginning of the other, I think. So yeah, they're within 2 or 3 days of each other, I think.
So still hanging from the ye old Cheshire Cheese.
Yes.
We ventured south, or southwest in this case, to the Black Lion in Surbiton. And this is one of my locals, just around the corner from where I live. And because, times are hard nowadays, money-wise, we thought we'd head to this pub. And despite me living so close, I'd never been to this pub because it just looks a bit crap, basically.
Yeah.
It's the pub, there's always a couple of pubs in your town, aren't there? And there's the one that I usually go to, the Antelope, and that's a bit swankier, and it's got, all these fancy beers, and it's a bit more expensive. But we thought, you know what? We're going to give the Sky Sports pub a go. I'm sure everyone knows what we mean by that. The one that proudly flies that Sky Sports flag. Thinking that we'd save a few quid. Yeah. Turns out we didn't save a few quid. And we only saved about 10, 20p a pint. So it wasn't worth the... Shoddiness, yeah. The lower surroundings, yeah. I mean, we'd been in there about... couple of minutes before we got shouted at to sit down, before we'd even got our change. Whoever, this bloke thought we were breaking COVID rules by standing at the bar, but we were just waiting for change, basically. But yeah, so the beers were okay. There was a selection of 2 or 3 beers, weren't there? But they were pretty standard.
Pretty standard. I arrived first. So, classic, we arranged to meet at a certain time. I'm running late. About 20 minutes late, I expressed my condolences to the group and let them know that I will be late to the pub. To which we all went, here we go.
Classic.
I then arrive at the club sweating as I had run from the station, not wanting to disappoint my comrades, and I turn up and there's no one there yet. So I'm the first one to arrive. So they've all just had a 20-minute kip whilst I've been running my arse off to get to the nearest train. Anyway, so I arrive, I ask for a pint, get a pint of lager. So nothing, it's there's no funny business there. There's no having to wait for it to settle before you fill the pint like you would maybe with a bitter or a Guinness or something. So it's possibly the easiest pint you could possibly ask for.
Straight ahead.
And there's this guy wearing a... rugby polo shirt. And from the few minutes I've sort of been in the bar, I sort of get an idea that he owns the place or runs it or is somehow involved, but nobody else wants him there because he's just rubbish, clearly. So he pours me half this pint, takes my payment, and then walks off. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's maybe changing the barrel, or he wants to...
There's always a few moments when you trust the guy pouring the pint. You think, oh, he must just be taking a quick call, or, like you say, changing a barrel.
He knows what he knows what he's doing. I trust him, I then wait a further minute or two.
Even though you can reach the pint, like just the other side of the bar if you were to lean over.
I just need to lean and get it. That's all I need to get. But the weird thing is, it's not even full. It's like 3/4 full. So this is the thing that's throwing me off. I'm not sure what to think. I've already paid for it. I own that pint, as far as I'm aware.
You own that 3/4 of a pint and more.
Yeah, a little bit more, yeah. And this young guy who's like 19 comes out and he goes, "Is this yours, mate?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, and I could see in that reaction he knew exactly what had happened. He knew exactly who was the culprit of it.
Yeah.
And it had happened hundreds of times. And he can't do anything about it because he obviously runs the place.
Yeah.
I get my pint. Adam then comes, and as Adam is getting his pint from a decent member of staff who's actually poured it, given it to him, taken his money. As Adam's waiting for his change, this same man comes over, running over to us, effectively in like some sort of half jog. And he's like, "Right, where are we sitting,
fat man jog. Yeah.
Fat man jog, yeah. He's like, "Where are we sitting, boys? Where are you sitting?" And we obviously hadn't decided yet. We're still waiting for our drink. So we sort of look around and we pick a spot. And he's like, "Great, cool. So
Please take a seat, boys," is what he's trying to say. Come on, boys, sit down. And
I just go with Adam, and then Adam is like, "I just need to go back for my change." Anyway, Jesus, this gives you some idea as to the.
He was waiting for the COVID police, this guy. He was like, he'd got that email from the government laying out the rules, and he was taking it so seriously. But yeah, I was changeless for a little while there. But we made a good night of it.
Yeah.
6 or 7 pints down. And once again, we were the last people in the pub.
Yeah.
And by our, we know the rules here at Ye Old Prince's Elbow. We know that you've got about 3 nudges after the last orders bell. Before things get serious. Yeah. So, we utilised all 3 of our nudges, and we were swiftly ejected from Ye Old Pub in Surbiton. So, overall, no offence to the pub in Surbiton, but work to be done, I reckon, compared to other pubs.
Let's rate it. What's our scale going to be?
We've got to go out of 10, I reckon. Yeah, because there's nuance here. I think the Black Lion in Surbiton, for me, gets a 5. Okay, so it had beer. There was no loud music, comfortable-ish seating, very close to my house, so access was good, but grumpy publican and not as cheap as we would expect. So I'm going to go 5.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'll stick with you. I mean, I think we can go with what can the scale be? 5 deteriorating darts boards out of 10?
Yeah. 5 rips in the snooker table, in the pool table.
5 10-year-old urinal cakes out of 10.
I think that takes the biscuit or the cake in this. That takes the cake for me. Yeah, 5 urinal cakes out of 10. Oh man, gavel down.
Yeah, perfect.
Speaking of beer,
yes,
I've got a thirst coming on.
As do I, mate.
So, ladies and gentlemen, today we have 2 beers. This was a little supermarket sweep, and today we're gonna try out 2. We've got a McEwan's Levy, which is a traditional Scottish beer. So that caught my eye, just because we've been very British. So we're going to go a Scottish beer here. And then in the other hand, we've got Ringwood Brewery's Razorback. Super English, Amber Ale, Amber Craft Ale 3.6, and McEwan's is 3.2. So both of them relatively light in alcohol content.
Great. Can I ask you something?
Of course you can.
Now, did you buy these individually, or did they come in a traditional ale box?
I've been rumbled.
I know it well, sir.
Oh, Jesus. You can't bullshit the boys. So these came as a pack of 6 classic ales, it's called, from Sainsbury's. I was just looking around and there was so much... Oh, I've ruined this.
Oh, mate.
Okay. We're pouring our own beers here. because we are the designated publicans of this, the Old Prince's Elbow.